That was me doing the ticking sound. That was my attempt at trying to sound like a clock in case I don't get someone to edit this for me, because editing is not my strong suit. I was going to make the sound of a clock in case I'm not able to find the sound of a clock to put at the beginning of the video, since the name of the podcast is called Just Killing Time, and in the theme of it, a ticking clock has always been the opening intro. I've had this podcast edited by so many different people, and the consistency part comes with a bunch of reasons that I'm going to explain. But for right now, for those of you who know me, bear with me for a second. I'll get to you, but for the people who are new to the podcast, whether it's because you saw me at the club performing, or if you saw the recent video of me doing stand-up with the red beanie on my head, dressed like someone who just got drafted in the NBA in 1995, 96. When did NBA become the fashion, like, mecca? When did it become a thing where we wanted to see what ball players wore before they went on the court? When were basketball players the leading men of fashion? I don't remember this time, and I've been watching the NBA for years, and I've never looked at one ball player and said, I want to dress like that one day, because ball players can't dress because there's too much fabric and clothes involved. You're big. That's why you don't have to worry about dressing. You're a giant. You're gonna get somebody regardless. The fact that you're trying to dress up is annoying. I'm tired. Watch the basketball games. I remember when they would just go straight to the basketball. No, now we gotta watch ball players come into a tunnel like it's fashion week, wearing spacesuits and bubble coats and dresses and Bjorns and whatever they try to turn into fashion. And it's like, how many times are you gonna wear this ridiculous outfit with patent leather shoes and white socks and sandals at the same time? Whatever. When did the NBA become like, yo, did you see who the fuck is looking at the NBA ball players and saying, I gotta go buy that shit? Because most likely, if I see Shaq wearing a jacket, I'm not gonna think, oh my God, I gotta get a jacket like that. I'm gonna say, ooh, I gotta get a mattress that can fit that jacket. But I was dressed like an NBA ball player. I was dressed like Allen Iverson. I had a beanie on, I had this American Eagle shirt with a white t-shirt on it that was too big, and some jeans that were too big, and these Nike Negro League baseball sneakers I paid too much money for and didn't get the right size. It was a 9.5 and I wear a 9, but I was like, I gotta get these shoes and look like a clown on stage. Anyway, that was Laugh-A-Palooza 2007, Jamie Foxx Laugh-A-Palooza. He didn't even host it that year. Anthony Anderson hosted that year. And Anthony Anderson didn't even say my last name. Like, it was enough for him to get through Moranzio. He didn't even say my last name. And I didn't even think to stand up for myself to say, hey, producers, he didn't say my full name. I need him to say my full name, because I felt like if I complained, they would be like, we don't even want you here. And you asking for us to say your first and your last name? Fuck all that. Now here's the crazy part. Somebody will watch this video and say, maybe that wasn't it. Maybe that's you deflecting or projecting. Possible. But also, I know that people don't want me to have things because I don't do anything other than just fucking be me to get what it is that I want. And I don't have to sacrifice my integrity. I don't have to smash the windows in my home because I can't look at myself because I did something immoral to get what I got. It'll never happen. I'll sleep good every night knowing that I have never done anything to get anything that I'll be like, I can't believe I did that. Other than like perform on a show that I don't want to perform on, or audition for something that I don't want to audition for, or be nice to a comic that I don't think is funny because, it's a person first. But you could be a person first outside of the comedy club, but inside of the sanctuary, if you try to talk to me as if we both are the same cloth, I'm gonna really have a hard time. Like, I'm gonna phone that in. Like, the conversation will be limited. I'll have to acknowledge you and say, hey, how you doing, buddy? And then like keep it moving. But to like stand there and be like, yeah, man, all this valuable information. I love your knowledge, history of comedy, your knowledge and history of comedy. No, we're not doing that. That's not happening. That's not happening. But I did this Laugh-A-Palooza on Comedy Central. I want to say it was my second time doing stand-up on TV. My first being Comic View. I did Comic View in 2003. Once again, I did not want to do BET's Comic View for multiple reasons. But that's not the journey I wanted to go on. That's not how I wanted to be introduced to the world as a comic, by going through the BET portal. And that's probably because of racism and colonizing and, the industry's image of, well, where did you get your education from? That determines how we will handle you. Like, how did you, and then, okay, so you did work with black people, but did you act black also when you were working with black people, or did you try to educate your fellow Negroes? That also determines where we're going to place you as well. But I did Comic View. And the reason I say I did it, but I didn't want to do it, but did it anyway, because I didn't have to work for it. And by that, I mean, I did not showcase to do Comic View. I made that a stipulation. And the person who was responsible for getting me on the show could cop to it, but I won't use that person as a reference because I would much rather that person not exist, like Thanos, than to say this person can corroborate my story. But the person who was responsible for helping me get on Comic View was like, hey, you should do Comic View. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. He's like, okay, but you got to showcase. Not showcasing for that. I was not going to showcase for that. And the main reason I refused to showcase for it was because I knew that my material was not going to rub up against anybody's. Not a person. I wasn't worried about anybody doing anything remotely like what I was going to talk about. And part two of that scenario was, I'm not showcasing for this when I'm bringing something different to what deserves and needs diversity within the black community. And I didn't, and I did Comic View. I think I've never seen it really. I think I saw a clip of it, because when I did Comic View, I didn't even have cable, so I didn't even get to watch my set. And I don't even know what production company did it when I did it. I don't even remember how much I got paid when I did it. I just know I never got residuals for it. Like, it was a buyout. I did like 7 minutes, and I went on stage and I opened up. I'm gonna say it in a way where I don't have to say how I feel about myself. By even doing that, it's a little imposing, obtuse. But the year I did Comic View, I can't remember if it was R. Kelly jokes that everybody kept telling or Kobe jokes. I don't remember. It was 2003. I don't remember what the talk of the town was, but every black comic for the most part was doing material on a subject matter that Comic View, BET, had to request that comics not do material about this anymore because it was oversaturated. I do remember that. I do remember that. And I do remember not liking my opening joke. So I wrote a new joke that day in the green room, and I ran it by a comedian who I would much rather not say, oh my God, can you come to my rescue, because I don't care for this person. But there's a comedian who I ran the joke by and said, hey, what do you think about this? Blah, 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 blah. And they was like, that's funny. He was like, okay, good, I'm gonna do it. He's like, is that new? Yeah, I just wrote it just now. And he just looked at me like, what are you about to do? I didn't care. And when I say I didn't care, I don't mean I didn't care as in, I don't give a fuck about this show. It was like, I was so, didn't care. Like, it was bravery. It was like, what are you worried about? What's the worst that could happen? They not laugh? I got jokes. I just want to try and kamikaze and just open up. And I did a new joke that I had never done before for my first TV taping. My first TV taping. My first TV taping. I did a new joke at the opening. And it killed. I did 7, 8 minutes, just killed. Never saw it. Heard I did good, never saw it. And then I did Laugh-A-Palooza. And even when I was there, I felt like no one really wanted me there. But it was also like, if you don't put this guy on, you're gonna have to put something on him. Like, you're gonna have to say, yo, he smoked drugs, that's why we don't fuck with him. Like, you would have to lie on me as to why you wouldn't fuck with me, because to say I wasn't funny wasn't the thing you could say as to why you wouldn't fuck with me. So you had to make excuses why you won't fuck with me. As Pusha T would say, the only way y'all can rob me is at an award show. So I did Laugh-A-Palooza. I did like 11 minutes. T.I. was in the front row. It was my first time performing in Atlanta. I had never performed in Atlanta. I had never been to Atlanta. And I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. Nothing ever crossed my mind that said, let's go to Atlanta. Partially because of Freaknik. I didn't want to go to Atlanta because of Freaknik, because I had seen the videos, I heard about it. I was like, there's no way in the world that place is clean after what I saw. They got more scrubbing to do. I saw some stuff where that stain doesn't come out. You have to destroy that and build it back up again. That's nasty, nasty stuff happened right there. Like, it was crazy. Freaknik, go Google Freaknik if you are not familiar with Freaknik. It's an abomination, fam. Like, I don't care what you feel about what I just said. Freaknik should have never happened. It was wild. It was Babylon. Babylon. During a time where video recording was just starting to become a thing. And instead of being afraid of it, people were like, yo, we need to record all this, all of it. All of it. Not one person said, all of it? We should record all? Should we really do all of it? Somebody was like, yeah, all of it. So that's a part of the reason why I never wanted to go to Atlanta. Plus, Atlanta wasn't known for comedy. I wanted to do comedy. So I was like, either I'm going to New York, or I'm going to Chicago, or I'm going to San Francisco, or I'm going to LA. Those were the places that you went to when you wanted to get into comedy seriously. Philly, I don't know. No one's ever said, yo, you gotta go through Philly to get to, Hollywood. You might have to go through Philly to get to the NFC Championship, but you ain't gotta go through Philly to get to the comedy, mecca or whatever, into the industry. So Philly wasn't an option. DC wasn't like one of those places where you say, oh, I gotta go to DC. Like, you had to go to LA or New York or Chicago or San Francisco, those were the places you went. Not even Texas was on the map, not even Florida. No, you went to those places. So I went to LA, and then that was my first time going to Atlanta, and I went to Lenox Mall or whatever that place is. I don't gotta say nothing. I don't have to say nothing. Go, if you know the mall, you like, whew. If you ain't never heard of the mall, go Google it and just like read up on what Lenox Mall is. I don't even know if I'm saying it right because I've only been there twice, but it's wild. It's like, you know, on Harry Potter, you had to go through 3/4 the platform to get to Harry Potter's world. That's what going into that mall is. It's like the regular world on the outside, and then you walk in the Lenox Mall, and it's like, what? Yo, fam, what the fuck is going on in here? Is nobody not concerned about this? This is wild behavior. Like, wild. What? When I walk through that mall, I can't even believe I exist. I'm like, what? I'm alive, and this is real? This ain't AI. This is not AI. This is Atlanta. So I went, did that, had a great set. I had a great set. And I want to say more, but I hope the fact that I said I had a great set 4 times lets you know how good of a set I felt I had versus people I shared that stage with on my show. So if you're here because of that, that was one of my favorite jokes. I had to retire it because I was like, because it kind of happened, but also like, I'm not like, it's one of my favorite jokes. That set is one of my favorite sets I've ever done on TV. I believe I enjoy that set more than I enjoyed my half-hour set that I did. And I was on stage for about 40 minutes with my half-hour set, shot in Boston. That was my first time going to Boston too, and I haven't been back since because I don't need to until I have to. A lot of cities aren't cities you just go to. A lot of cities are, I don't need to until I have to cities. And it's not anything against Boston. It's just you're up in the fucking corner. It's cold. It's segregated. It's a lot of culture up there. It's also haunted. It's also evil. It's also so much more. Nothing against it. Listen, I even thought about moving to Massachusetts, but I know Massachusetts is haunted because that's where America started. Like Connecticut, Massachusetts, anything on the coast up there in that corner, you know, doing slavery and America becoming America and laws being passed, people was getting murked. So that's part of the reason. Plus it's expensive. It's fucking expensive. It's expensive to go to Boston. What the fuck am I visiting a place that don't really want me to be there? And plus it's haunted. And it's fucking haunted. And it's haunted. And I could tear my Achilles fucking around in Boston. And then I had fun doing that set. So for the people who have been here since day one, and the people who have seen me perform and mentioned that I do a podcast as a part of my act, for the longest time I was doing this podcast and I was calling it Just Killing Time because that's what I was doing. I was killing time in between my next show. And I really love the name of Just Killing Time and basically just talking about things that's going on in my life until my next show. But I'm also like, do you give a fuck about what I'm doing until my next show? I would rather give you something meaningful. I'd rather give you something heartfelt. I'd rather give you something you can use. I'd rather give you something we can think about, philosophy, have a salon where we sit around and talk about stuff. Be civil. Be civil. What happened to being civil? At what point did human beings, like, you know how at some point my dog just started lifting his leg up instinctively. He was a pup, he would just pee. He just knew he had to pee, so he would just go. But then as he got older, he started like, oh, let me cock my leg up. Like, it's instinct. It just happened naturally. At what point did us as humans get to a point where we could not use our words to figure out how to get along fairly? Like fairly, not like, well, we've been here longer, so we get more land. Like, when did we get to a point where we were like, yo, son, I gotta have more than you. I need to have more than you. When did we get to the point where we had to have more than the other person in order to be better? And how are you better than me if you got more than you need, and you could give it to me, but you don't because I should have to work harder for it? But then you're gonna die and you can't take it with you. You're gonna pass it down to your little shits, and you're just gonna keep passing it with this fucking hot potato of generational wealth. Like, how are you better than another human being if you're not doing something to better another fucking human being? How are you a better human being if you're not willing to better another human being? And bettering doesn't always mean you better yourself. So I'm gonna be a better person. But being a better person will also include being better to other people. And if I'm being honest, we're not better. None of us are. No one's trying to better somebody else except themselves or their family members. That's all. I'm bettering myself. And I'm gonna do whatever it is and takes to try to live as long as possible. That's all you're doing. You're just trying to look good dying. You're trying to enjoy and be comfortable before you die. Okay, we're all gonna die. So what are you doing? You're trying to like show off as you die? That's what wealth is. Like, oh, I'm gonna have the best of everything before I die. Okay, bitch. Your water came from a fucking llama's asshole. I don't know if that's good water or not. You drinking it. You telling me it's expensive. You want me to try to buy it, and I gotta buy whatever you sell so I can try to have the money or whatever to look like, whatever the fuck you look like. I don't know why I'm doing that when I'm gonna die. So I started doing the podcast because of Bill Burr and Mark Maron. Those were the only two people at the time that I knew were doing podcasts. And I knew Bill Burr's podcast before I knew Mark Maron's podcast, because Bill Burr's podcast used to be on MySpace. He used to call this place called Gcast, and he was just talking to a phone and then just say, all right, that's all I want to say, and then send it, and they would edit it or clean it up, or they would distribute it for him or whatever. And then I was like, that's it? Because as a comic, all you want to do is talk until you can get on stage to talk again. You want to run jokes by people. You want to entertain people, because you fucking don't think you exist unless you're making people laugh. Like, that's a thing. Like, if you want to know something about a comedian, some people don't think they exist unless they are making people laugh. That's disgusting. I don't know what to do with that fucking information. We can't have a conversation. If you are like, if I'm not making people laugh, then what is my point? I don't know, dog. Go read a book. Learn how to cook. Skydive. I don't know. Join Jack and Jill. I don't know, but get the fuck out of here with this. You gotta constantly be on shit. We the fucking hummingbird of humor. If you stop flapping, you're gonna die. Stop it. It's disgusting. So Bill Burr did it, and I had just come off of Last Comic Standing. I didn't want to do Last Comic Standing. I always say that every time I talk about Last Comic Standing because I don't want anyone to think that I really wanted to do it. I did it because the person, a producer, was like, yo, just do it. We'll make it easy for you. And they did. Like, I got into the top 10. It was because I was funny, but I also was like, yo, I'm not doing dumb stuff. I'm not doing, I hate reality TV. I fucking hate it because it's not reality TV. They have writers. That shit is scripted. That shit is planned out. You telling me every show a bitch is throwing a drink in somebody's face? That's not coordinated? We just throwing drinks? I ain't never been out someplace and saw somebody throw a drink in somebody's face. Never have I been somewhere and someone just fucking, maybe I'm just hanging out with people that value their money. I don't know, but I've never been in any place where somebody said, you need to shut the fuck up. Blah. I want to do it, but I haven't. So I started doing the podcast. And I tried to be consistent with it, but I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna talk about? Because I wanted to talk about things that needed to be fixed. I wanted to talk about things that was wrong in the world, like comedian, right? But I also see how fucked up the world. Jon Stewart does it. Jon Stewart does it all the time. He's like complaining about the world and he's a comedian. No one's like telling him to shut the fuck up. Like no one's like, yo, man, you gotta chill with that complaining shit. You don't. But when I was like, I guess complaining or pointing out things, I'm wrong, I'm bitter. I can't tell you how many black comics would say I was bitter, but they were saying I was bitter because I was talking about how there were transgressions against me that were valid. I felt were valid and are valid, even if I didn't think they were valid. If someone else heard it, they were like, he should be angry. But because the thing that I'm complaining about or the people that I'm complaining about are bigger, I didn't have a right to complain because it's like, oh, you're not accepting accountability for whatever. It's like, bitch, suck my, what are you talking about? So if somebody break into my house, it's my fault somebody break into my house? If you left the door unlocked, what kind of security you got? What neighborhood you live in? See, if you ain't live in a nice neighborhood, you wouldn't have got robbed. Shit like that. That's the world we live in. That's the industry you're in. You cannot talk about what has happened to you if it made somebody else rich. Oh, ain't that? You can't talk about what happened to you if somebody stole your joke, somebody stole your idea, or if you helped somebody. Like, you can't talk about it because you're mad it's not you when it happened to you. I don't know what you do with that information. It's like, you mad because you got beat up because that guy tried to take your car and you didn't want him to take your car and he took it and you mad about it. Grow up, bitch, buy another car. So I call a podcast Just Killing Time. I rant about stuff and then I would stop because people were saying I was angry, but it's like, I'm just passionate. I'm a Taurus. I'm passionate. I got, I'm emotionally constipated. I got some shit I need to get out. There's no healthy way to get it out, is it? Other than go to therapy, they say. But what if you can't afford therapy? I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to sit and play video games all day long. I mean, what's the problem with me screaming into a microphone my anger like it's a bottle and I'm throwing it out to the ocean? If somebody reads it, they reads it. If you don't like it, you ain't got to put a message in the bottle and throw it back to me, bitch. Just fucking throw the bottle in the trash and go the fuck on about your business. Why you got to talk to me about it? If you read it and you can say, oh, dude, he got a valid point. Let me see if we can get this motherfucker and rescue him. What are we doing? the hypocrisy of the shit. Like, I just sit back and watch shit. I'm like, it's like watching traffic. You know how people are smart? They're like, oh, traffic moves like this. I just sit back and watch patterns. I'm like, okay, I can't do it, but that person can do it. Okay, that person is doing that, but when that other person did it, everybody had a problem. Like, what the fuck is, like, you have to look at the chessboard. You got to look at what the fuck is going on, because people move the goalposts to fit their narrative, however it will make them win. That's what the president does. So I do the podcast, but I can't stay consistent with it because I find myself not enjoying it anymore because it became a competition now. Now everybody got a podcast. Then everybody started doing video, then sponsors, and then money started coming along. Then it became a competition of like, who can get the most sponsors and the most followers, and now who's gonna take it on the road, and now who's gonna make it a TV show, and now who's gonna make it a comic book, and now who's gonna make it something that you do in a stadium, and that's what you're gonna do in space. Like, who's gonna do the first podcast from space? It's like out of sight dudes or some shit, right? So I was like, this is not even enjoyable. And it's like, everybody got a podcast now. So who the fuck, if everybody got a podcast, who is listening to the podcast? If everybody in the neighborhood sells drugs, who are you selling drugs to? If everybody's a drug dealer on the block, who are you selling drugs to? To each other? It's the Spider-Man meme. So I'm changing the podcast to Talking to a Brick Wall, because that's what it feels like when I do videos like Puffy is Poison, or I do videos like in 2015 and I say, yo, Donald Trump is gonna be president. Like, you get tired of telling people, yo, why aren't we looking at this closely? Like, I wanna be the David Duchovny of like culture, in the sense of, why aren't we looking at these patterns? Why aren't we looking at this behavior? Why aren't we trying to identify and target and figure out what this behavior is? And then we need to test it to see if this is something that we want in our culture, in our society, in our ecosystem. But we don't do that. We don't do that shit. We don't take the time to fix shit. We just keep moving shit down the timeline and hope it get better. So in 2010, I did these videos where I was talking to a brick wall. I did two versions of them. One, I was wearing a blue shirt. I even held up an Emmy that belonged to a friend of mine. And I was talking to the brick wall about how ridiculous it was that Michael Jackson's funeral won a fucking Emmy. How does a funeral win an Emmy? Help me out, because of the performances? When did we start rewarding death? And I thought it was ridiculous. And then I think I talked about how Puffy gave away iPods to the homeless. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean Puff Daddy gave out iPods to homeless people? Where the fuck are they going to charge it? Where are they going to charge the goddamn iPods? They're homeless. Is it already got songs on it? And if they already got songs on these iPods for these homeless people who don't need an iPod, they need an iHome. Is it the Bad Boy catalog on this iPod that you're giving out for free for no other fucking reason other than the fact that you're stupid? Do you think if I'm homeless, I just shit in a Starbucks cup, you think I'm gonna throw on your goddamn iPod and listen to More Money, More Problems? Who are these songs for, Diddy? Who are these songs for? I question rap every day. I question rap every day. Who the fuck is this shit for? It ain't for me. even when I was young, it wasn't for me. Bitch, why are you telling me you got all these cars and houses? I am in college. I got a Discover card that I'm never going to pay off. What are you doing right now? Why are you pouring alcohol on a woman? What did she do? Did she ask for that? Did this woman... Dear hip hop, dear culture, what is the significance of pouring alcohol on a half-naked to naked woman? Is it spiritual? Is it religious? Is it a ritual? What the fuck are we doing? So, I did a video about just ignorant stuff. And then it didn't hit. Like I was impatient, like it didn't snap the way I wanted it to snap. And I abandoned it because it was during the time where YouTube had just came along and everybody was just throwing shit up against the wall to see what sticks, because if you got views, you went viral, and viral was this new thing, and then they started putting money to the views when you go viral, and people was just getting deals and endorsements. Like it was just so much money to be made because this viewership, these eyes, this different way of communicating to people was getting out to the world, and we need to capitalize on it immediately. So everybody was just slinging shit against the wall. We're just doing this, going this, we're doing this, we're doing this, whatever to make money, whatever to feed this machine, whatever to feed this algorithm, whatever to feed this culture that we're moving into, right? A new spice. And I did that video, it didn't take off. And then I was like, I really like this idea though. And I came back to it, and an associate that I no longer fuck with lived in this apartment complex that had a brick wall, and I asked him to record me talking to a brick wall, and I can't remember if he used his camera and memory card or if I used my camera and his memory card, but somehow, some way, this Rick Ross piece of shit was like, yo, I think I'm gonna make an NFT out of the brick wall meme. And I was like, you mean the video of me talking to a brick wall that's circulating in the internet and in the chats and in the Roblox worlds and all that shit that's in your iPhone? He was like, yeah. I said, but that's me, that's my image, that's my video, that's my content. And then he started talking about how he was like, I think I shot that. I think I have it on my hard drive. And because I'm not good at editing, I let him edit the video. And because I let him edit the video, because this person is a piece of shit, they are saying they own my content, right? So I shot the video, but did like 2 or 3 and threw them on the internet, and it didn't hit again. And I felt like it was a good idea. I just didn't stick with it because, one, I couldn't keep the same brick wall, but also I was like, I don't always want to complain. Like some days I'm so exhausted that I can't even complain about what I want to complain about because I just don't have the energy to put the words together to say what I need to say to feel good about the venting that I need to do. So I was like, I'm not gonna do it every day. And then at one point, do I bring guests on to talk to a brick wall with me? It's not a bad idea, but I never did it because I never stuck with it. But I want to go back to it now, but a different iteration of it. And the video went viral after I stopped doing it. And then it became a meme and then a GIF, and it's in your iPhone, it's in your Android. I don't get paid nothing for that shit. I think I'm gonna start selling t-shirts with the image on it. I don't give a fuck who got what. If he got the image, then bitch, you got it. If you don't and you can't find it or whatever, good. That's what you get for being a piece of shit. but that's me in the video. That's me wearing a black Fossil watch. That's me wearing a Little Brother t-shirt, Little Brother Left Back t-shirt, because that was their last album that they did. And I opened up for Little Brother in San Diego and at the Key Club in Los Angeles. And K-Dot was on the show. K-Dot opened up for Little Brother. This was before he was Kendrick at the Key Club, and Pat Div. Oh my God. Son, I was in the room with greatness. I was in the room with Fonte, rapper Big Pooh, K-Dot before he was even Kendrick, and Pat Div. Pat Div, the energy in that room was crazy. Crazy. And I opened up that show, and I opened up for them in San Diego. And, oh my God, man. It was so good. So good. But anyway, I had a Left Back t-shirt on, I had a Fossil watch, and I had these white, I even got it on right now. Facts, son. White Nike bracelets that I wear when I go play basketball. I had that on my arm and my microphone tattoo. But I had short hair at the time. I let my hair grow out during the pandemic because a person that used to remove hair off my head for more than 14 years tried to con me out of my unemployment money, and then got mad when I caught on to the con and was like, "You a bitch ass nigga," and told other barbers not to cut my hair. And I was like, I'm on a blacklist for barbers? That's crazy. That's new. That's a very Curb Your Enthusiasm situation. You have an issue with the barber puts your name in a burn book, and now you got to let your hair grow out, and now you flexing because you're 49 years old, you got a full head of hair, and you are in an entertainment business where men are fighting for their lives to hold onto their hairlines and not to get plugs, and if they have to do anything, they just shave it all off. Like, this is a different world, like Cree Summers. This is a beautiful thing. Like, the person did me a favor because now it's like, I got options. I think I'm gonna get locks. I'm gonna play around with the idea of locks. But right now, like, I like the free form or whatever. Some people say I look like Frederick Douglass. Whatever, I'm smart. So I let my hair grow out during the pandemic. One, because I couldn't find a barber, because you had to go into a barbershop. You got to hang out in a barbershop. And I wasn't doing that. And then two, I was on the burn list because I was hitting up barbers. I was like, yo, man, you got to solve that thing with... Are you crazy? We're in the pandemic and you want to cut my money when I don't know when we're going to be able to go back outside again. And once I figured out that's what was going on, you got mad at me because I didn't hold up to the end of my bargain when I figured out that the bargain had a fucking hole in it. Anyway, I'm the bad guy. So let my hair grow out. And I'm starting to do this right here. This is going to be my new thing. This is Talking to a Brick Wall. And for those who don't know, I'm on USC campus right now, inside of a classroom. I don't know if you can see this or whatever, but I'm inside of a classroom because in the fall, I'm going back to school to finish my degree in psychology. And then I'm gonna go get my master's in psychology. And then I'm probably gonna tamper around with therapy, because that's what I want to do. I'm still going to do comedy. I'm still going to write. I'm still going to do this stuff right here. But I am going back to school, and I want to teach. I was teaching comedy at this club called Flappers. And then I was like, I really like this more than I like working for Flappers. So I went off and started teaching comedy on my own, and then I started mixing comedy and therapy and that together. And then I had shot a comedy special during the pandemic with my therapist, and the same person who recorded me talking to the brick wall recorded me and my therapist. I did 30 minutes of stand-up with no audience because it was the pandemic, and then I did an hour and like 25 minutes with my therapist. And it was all on camera, and we were gonna cut it together and like release it. and we couldn't fucking like agree on when to release it. And then it became a thing of, let's try to get money for this and try to sell it. And it's like, no, we got a mixtape. We got to put this out so we can get more studio money to go make a real comedy special. But they didn't want to do that shit. And we fell out. And now somewhere like Raiders of the Lost Ark, there is a fucking hard drive with me having a very emotional conversation with my therapist in front of people that I will probably never see. And I think about it all the time because this person essentially has my childhood confessions on a video and has control over whether or not I get to see that again. And I no longer have the same therapist because you can't mix business and therapy together the way I did it. That's how I fucked up. I crossed the streams by doing work with my therapist. Not to say you can't work with therapists if you're going to work with therapists, but I really liked my therapist. But my therapist was also the therapist for the guy who recorded the set that I'll never see, that also has my brick wall image somewhere on a hard drive. Maybe not, I don't know. But he was also his therapist, and I just didn't, it felt dirty to have me share my therapist with this guy who I loathe. So I kind of like stopped going to my therapist, that therapist. So a lot has happened. I really was going to be first to the market with it because I shot it in 2020. I shot it in October of 2020. We had been in the pandemic since March. And then everybody was scrambling to try to create content because it was the pandemic and we can't open up studios. But if you can film something and you bring it over to us, we'll buy it and we'll air it or whatever. But we can't tell you to go out and make stuff because if you get sick and die, then we got to pay for that kind of type of deal that we were doing during the pandemic. But we had created this. We were going to put it out there because it was like, yo, everybody is at home. Where the fuck are they going to go? Put it out there. They'll find it. Nobody was doing anything. We couldn't agree on that shit. Fuck it. You can't work with your own people sometimes. So I want to teach. So this is going to be my setup moving forward because I feel like I gotta start dressing for the job I want, not the job I have. And I'm going to merge the job that I have with the job that I want. So this is a maturation. This is a amalgamation of me stepping into talking to the brick wall because it's like I'm really this type of person where it's like, yo, I'm all for laughs and jokes. I like a good gag, a prank. I'm a comedian. I love laughter. I do. But can we fucking put some fires out in the world before we say I need to be entertained? Because you really don't fucking need to be entertained if the ship is sinking and you don't have a way off. You don't need a song. You need a solution. And people don't want to work on a solution because it's work. It's better to conform than to think for yourself. You know how many people think they think for themselves, but they have what you call a system. Like, I used to put pressure on myself to like accomplish shit. I'm like, I gotta get something done. But I gotta see results. Like I gotta like do something. And if I didn't see something at the end, I was like, I didn't get anything accomplished. But that's not a good thing to do because you'll get burnt out. I have to create a system that makes me feel or allows me to accomplish things so I do feel accomplished. So now I have a system versus trying to hit goals. Because it'll wear you out. It'll wear you out. It'll wear you out if you gotta think for yourself. It'll wear you out if you got to think for yourself every day. You think for yourself, but you don't. You think for the coloring book that you picked out, meaning you think by numbers. You color by numbers, you think by numbers because you follow a certain set of rules that makes it so you don't have to think for yourself. But because you have options within this world, this coloring book, you feel like that's freedom. You have choices, not freedom. You have options, not freedom. You're not reading the fine print on the things that you support. You don't know it fully. You know the sad part, and I had written it down, but I can't remember it. It's sad that, it's scary that even though the movie Idiocracy existed, and we saw what that world was, that was making fun of the world that we were headed towards, it's sad because we are now dumber than the people in the movie because we saw the movie and we still became stupid. We saw Idiocracy and we still somehow managed to be dumber than the fucking people in the movie. How, Sway? How? So, moving forward, I'm calling the podcast Just Killing Time. Also, with that being said, I'll have a separate podcast for Safeheart. Safeheart will be the sponsor for this podcast. Safeheart is relationship insurance. Safeheart is emotional recovery insurance. Safeheart is if you have ever had your heart broken and you didn't have any support, you can get support with Safeheart. I created this because I went through a breakup in 2006. My mind said, yo, if you don't create something to protect us from that type of pain so we don't feel it ever again, I'm going to hurt us. We will never know what love is if you do not create something to make it so we don't ever have to experience that type of pain ever again. That's what Safeheart is. I went through a breakup so bad. If I saw me, I would probably beat me up. Like if this version of me saw me at the time when I was going through what I was going through, I would beat me up. Even if I didn't even know me, if I saw me out someplace and I saw me acting a certain way with this woman, I would be like, I'm gonna beat that dude up because he gonna infect somebody. He gonna get somebody sick. That's crazy behavior. Why is he acting that way? It don't have to be like that. It don't have to be like that. So, because I want to teach one day at a university, because I want to practice therapy one day, my own practice, because I feel like somebody in my life said to me, I said, I'm a comedian. And this person replied, what's a comedian? Like, why is that a big deal? And I was like, wow, that's a gut punch. It's a gut punch because this person has been infected to believe that what I do isn't good. And because of that, I let it affect me, even though I should not let it affect me, because I know that if this person had the opportunity to get the truth, their opinion would be different than what it is right now. And that's going to take some work. So with that being said, Safeheart is relationship insurance that I created. I have a whole Instagram page for it. I have a website for it. And what I do is you have a phone number I offer. You can call that number. You can leave a message and say, hey, I just want to do like a Dear Abby, this is what happened to me. breakup, what type of insurance should I get? What type of packages would you offer? And I would talk about it on the podcast. Your name would remain anonymous. And I would say, yo, this is the type of, package you would get. Or I would tell a story about your story if I've experienced something like that, or we could just discuss it, right? If you want to be a guest, depending on who you are, the severity of the story, and some vetting first, you can come on as a guest and we can have you as a caller. We can discuss it briefly. Or if you seriously want help, like you've been through a breakup or you're going through one and you haven't gotten over it, you can call and I'll set you up with a therapist, because I have therapists who I have aligned with that have agreed to, I guess, if I refer you to them, they'll see you and then you can discuss whatever the arrangement will be. Like, I haven't decided if I refer you to a therapist, I need to find out if I'm going to make it so the therapist has to agree to see you at least once for free to determine whether or not, you need a therapist or whatever. I got to figure that out. But for the most part, I have therapists, relationship advisors, and life coaches that are here to help you if you want that as well. You think I'm joking? I'm being serious. It's art, but it's also therapy. It's also community. It's also help. Because guess what? When you go through a breakup, depending on where your heart is in that relationship, it's hard to get that bitch back. And I ain't talking about the girl, and I ain't talking about the guy. I'm talking about your heart. So I created that. I'm going to be doing that on the other side of Talking to a Brick Wall. This will be me, political, culture, life, interview people, amalgamation of Anthony Bourdain and psychology, maybe. Like I'm gonna walk around, travel, discuss some things. I have questions about our integrity as a species. We are not doing it right. Let me specify that a little better. The United States and Russia and another country who will remain unnamed because I don't got it to not let it fuck me up. Everybody else is, I think, trying to do the right thing. I don't know where China is. Like, China sound like they want to do nice shit, but then it's also like they haven't changed shit in 5,000 years. So it's like, just because you didn't change it, does it mean it's good? Or it's just because the brand is strong and ain't nobody saying, how about something else? So with that being said, this is the podcast. It's no longer just killing time. I may go back to that as like a spinoff when I'm on the road. I'll do that if nobody steals it before I get out to do it. But for this day forward, it's like me talking about relationship stuff and life and why aren't we doing certain things. Safe Heart over there, I'm gonna do a pop-up shop situation, comedy show, because I got a whole book that I've written. I've got a whole comedy special centered around having relationship insurance and why you would need it and why it's necessary, why it should be a thing. If Jennifer Lopez can get insurance on her ass, allegedly, but Gene Simmons did get his tongue insured, Tom Jones did get his hair on his chest insured, Justin Timberlake had an insurance policy on his body, I guess because he danced and shit. Like, people get weird shit insured. Why not your heart and your feelings? Try to go to work after a breakup. Try it. There's certain professions where I worry about whether or not they should be allowed to have relationships, because if you go through a breakup, if you can't handle it, bruh, let me know so I don't fly today. So, Safe Heart, relationship insurance. I'm not bullshitting. I got a website for it. You can go find it. It's www.safeheartinsurance.com. I got a Twitter page for it, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. I'm putting out content for it. I'm advertising it. I am promoting it. But I'm also asking people to support it because it's never happened before. And I think it's something that we should get behind to support because, dog, I went through a breakup in 2006. It took me about 12 years to get over it. Like, I was dating on autopilot. Like, there was no feelings involved. I just remember how to do certain things in relationships that made me be able to stay in a relationship without really investing my heart because I was afraid of getting hurt. And I didn't do it for every relationship, but I did it for more relationships than I didn't do it for. And that sucks. And that makes me a bad person, I guess. But I was like, yo, that in 2006 stung the fuck out of me. And I'd already had like a shitty one prior to that one. And then even a shittier one before that one. And then even a shittier son. When I tell you I got a breakup story for you that started in the 9th grade. I got a breakup story for you that started in the 9th grade. I'm going to tell it. It ain't going to come right now, but since the 9th grade, that spanned it from the 9th grade up until like now. Like a cancer. So for now, this is how I choose to do the content that I'm going to do. I perform at the Comedy and Magic Club a lot. I used to perform at the Laugh Factory a lot, but then the booker at the time, I guess she didn't like me. I don't know, but she didn't book me for a while. I'm not in at the Comedy Store because I'm just not in at the Comedy Store, and I'm not really, I don't do the improv either because I don't know. I'm not famous. I'm not famous. My numbers don't say I'm famous. My numbers don't say I'm funny. I'm funny as fuck. But my numbers don't say I'm funny because I don't post comedy on my page, and that's going to change. I said I'll start doing it, but I'm not doing fucking crowd work and shit. Like, there'll be actual jokes. I don't like it. I don't. It's just a choice. It's a choice. I like words. I like to be intentional. Like, I need to know where this shit is going. Control issues. I'm a Taurus. I gotta have shit a certain way, or I'm smashing. Glass. That being said, you can go to, I don't know if I even got a website. I don't know. The website, Talking to a Brick Wall, I have that on my main website, and it'll be in my LinkedIn, on my YouTube and Instagram page. And I gotta remember if I have an email in case people wanna send me questions or stories. Yo, send me stories for us to talk about where that story lies morally. Like, send me a story and be like, yo, where does this align? Where is this in the world? Should we be concerned? Is there something deeper than this? Like, let's really X-Files this shit. Because it's a lot of stuff that people don't want to talk about that we should probably be talking about, but we're not. So, new people, thank you. Hey, how you doing? You see me at the comedy club? I'm funny. Videos online, whatever, Puff is Poison. However you know me, this is what we're doing. I'm also going to be on this journey going back to college, and I'm going to probably share some of that shit, but I'll do it when I do it. I haven't taken a test or read a book for, like, to get a grade in eons. The fuck ons. But I do want to get back out on the road again, so this is in the agreement between us. I'm going to do this, the teacher thing, because I've already taught, but I am going back to school to become one. And I'm going to be in school. And I'm just good at what I do. Stop playing with me. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, the stuff. I gotta tell you, it's really uncomfortable. Like if people are watching this, they're like, he don't do this. He don't be like, ooh, follow. I don't do shit like that, son. I don't. But if you come to a comedy club, son, let me tell you something. If you come to a comedy club and you pay to see me, you're gonna get like, we're gonna have a great time because that pin game, dog. Yo, my online, can I tell people my online gamer name? It's Kingpin, but it's Kingpen, Kingpin, because boy, anyway, so yeah, there we go. Hey new people, hey old people, hey people, what up? Class dismissed.